Hi guys, welcome back to the Return to Love podcast. I'm Tanya. I'm joined here with my mom Martina. Can you introduce yourself a little bit?
Hello, everyone. I'm Martina Nyamainashe. You're welcome to this week's podcast. And this week we are talking about true identity. How do we define ourselves? And this topic was brought about because someone asked me a question the other day about how did I get to who I am now? So, in answering that question, it made me think that she's probably not the only one who wants to know how I am who I am now. So I had to define it from the perspective of my experiences and what led me to who I am today. So before I go into my definition, how would you define your true identity?
Um, that's a good question. I've not really thought about it to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
How would I define it? I mean, there's a plethora of ways to define identity, I guess.
Yeah, it is.
There's the identity that you gain from society,
Mm-hmm.
um, being that your friends or your family or associates, people that you work with. I mean, to everyone else, you're a different person.
Yeah,
But
true.
to yourself, um, it's a tough question to
It's a
answer.
very difficult question that we all struggle with.
Hmm.
And I remember being asked, tell us about yourself. And it's a very, very, I used to find it a very, very challenging question. But from my understanding of how I used to define myself is I used to associate my definition of my identity with who I am as a mother,
Hmm.
as a wife, as a nurse,
Yeah,
as everything that I had been defined as by society.
yeah,
Yeah. So in holding those identities, I realized that I lost myself because then I had to fulfill my identity as a mother, and I had to fulfill my identity as a wife. I had to fulfill my identity as a daughter, as a sister, as all these other things that are always identifying us.
hmm,
But in the process of losing myself, I I wouldn't say I didn't know who I was, but I knew who I was according to the definitions of who I was being in that process, in that time. Yeah. But then there was also a something that was deeper, a disharmony because I had lost myself and I was busy fulfilling this, but there was nothing that I was doing to take care of my true identity.
hmm,
But that was because I didn't know who I really am. So there was nothing I could do about fulfilling that identity if I didn't know it in the first place. Does it make sense? Okay. So the process of my healing, answering the question that that lady asked me, how did you get here? It was the healing that led me to start to have this new identity that I identify myself as. Because when I was in disharmony, I had this physical condition. I had been diagnosed with this autoimmune condition, and then led me to a place where I knew that there was no solution in the medical field. So I had this desire or this quest to find something that was going to heal me.
hmm,
I want to say is I was looking for something that was going to fix me. I was not looking for healing. I was looking for me to be fixed so I can continue living my life the way I want to live it.
hmm,
Yeah, but the way that society was expecting me to live it. But not knowing that the condition that I had it brought me to a moment that it was becoming now a how would you say it? Um, I've lost this word. Menopause. That's the problem you have when you're menopause, you lose your words. Right. So it led me into a place where I had this defining moment that then started me on a completely new journey. Yeah. So I wanted to say catalyst. It became the catalyst for change of the
Right.
direction into the identity that I now understand. Yeah. So in a way, when I look at the experiences that I've had, the autoimmune condition that triggered me to go into this journey, it was actually a blessing instead of the way we sometimes call these things a curse or a bad thing. In our dual world, we want to always have good and bad, up and down, and all that.
Yeah.
But when we start to look from a completely different perspective, that came in as a blessing, or the things that I call the gifts that are wrapped in thorns. Yeah, because you
Yeah.
don't want to open that gift. But then when you eventually open and experience it, you realize, oh, it was a beautiful thing, even though it was ugly on the outside.
What was it? This is someone said every solution to the problem lies within the problem.
Within the problem.
So really, the problem doesn't exist.
No,
It's just solutions.
it's just the solution. But it depends now on how you look at the
Yeah.
problem. Because if you look at it as a problem, then
Then
it
it's gonna
is a
be a
problem that
problem.
needs to be solved.
Yeah.
But if you look at it as a gift, then it is a package that needs to be opened. You just need to find ways of opening
Opening.
it. Yeah, right. We digress. Right. So then when I started the journey of healing myself, then that became opened the path that gave me a new perception
Mm-hmm.
into the understandings of my true identity. So when I laid aside the identity that I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a nurse, I'm a this, I'm a that, I got this and I'm defined as that, then that left me in a situation where I didn't know who I was. Who am I then? What am I
Yeah.
doing here? How do I now relate to the world that I'm living in? Do I reject it, and then how do I then live life if I reject the place that I am in? Yeah, which then led me to start letting go of the things that I thought were important, and then embracing those things that you would say I defined as silly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the childlike experiences and the behaviors of children that are, they're just being, they're happy, they don't have any worries, and all
They
those
do
kind of
whatever.
things. They do what they want, and there is a limitation to what they do, but they just carry this awesome experience in life. Because when I started to look at children and started listening to children, I started to have a completely different experience to when you listen to adults and you converse with adults,
Mm-hmm.
because the conversation that we have with adults has expectations, and these expectations then causes us to lose our own identities, because we have to fulfill the expectations, we have to make others happy in order for us to fit in. Yeah, so that in itself can cause us to lose our identities,
Yeah.
because we try to fit in not in a way that is in alignment with our true being, but in alignment with everyone else's expectations. Does that make sense?
Yeah. You get caught in a web of expectations and it pulls you away from yourself.
Yeah. So and that's one of the biggest challenges that we are right now, that we are having right now. Because from my understanding of my own true identity right now, I can say that I accept me for who I am. And let me simplify that, in so that I can speak about what my identity is before I go into why we have these things that I think are challenging us at the moment. Is when I discovered that my identity did not lie in the things and the experiences that I had. I had to now find out who am I, and I realized after one experience that when you take water, you've got water in this bottle.
Mm-hmm.
You can have water in a cup.
Mm-hmm.
We have water in the tap. We have water in a dam, and it's still what? It's not defined any differently. It's still water. Yeah, the contents are still the same, except that it's in different packages. So it's the same thing with us human beings. What is within us, what identifies us, is the breath that we have.
Mhm.
That is life, right? Since that is life, I'm breathing out and you're breathing
Yeah.
in. And what I've breathed out, you breathe in. What you've breathed out, I breathe in. So, how does that differentiate us? It's still breath, isn't it?
Mhm.
Because that's the same air you are breathing and I'm breathing. So, we are no different because we're breathing this same air that we are constantly exchanging. And if I stop breathing right now, that means this body stops existing.
Mhm.
So that's the identity of this body is lost. But still the air goes on. The breath, everybody continues to breathe. The trees are breathing, the plants are breathing, the animals are breathing, the water is breathing, everything is breathing the same air.
Mhm.
That made me to realize that what I thought I was is not really who I am. What I am is that breath. That is me. But then that is just not me.
Exactly.
That is also you. So I am you
Mhm.
and you are me. So my identity is really not in singularity. It's in an understanding that I am one with everything. That means I'm also one with this planet because it breathes out in my carbon dioxide
Mhm.
and gives me its oxygen. Yeah. So in that exchange, that's where our oneness is. Because once all these plants die and it's not taking our carbon dioxide anymore, where are we going to get oxygen from? That means we also die. If it dies, we also die. So what is that really? It's this plant dies, I am also dying. That's just simply the explanation of my true identity. Yeah. So if I am everyone, how can I hate myself?
Or you'd have to hate everyone else as well.
Yeah, because if I hate you, I'm hating myself.
Mhm.
This is why in the Christian Bible there is this verse that says, "Love your neighbor as yourself." You cannot love someone else unless you love
Yes.
yourself. So then, if I love myself, that means I'm going to love you. But then that means loving myself is accepting my identity for who I am. I am water in a bottle. I cannot hate the water in the day because it's still the same identity. So, as me, my air, which is in this body, which is an African body, a female, I had to accept myself as who I am and acknowledge myself for the society that in the culture that I was born in. Yeah. Because I chose to come into this through this experience as an African woman to experience everything that is African. But then I lost my identity because I didn't want to have the experiences of the African. Because according to my beliefs, it was yes. But that's how I was, that's how the society was. So I was running away from what I thought I'm running away from. But the reality was I was running away from myself. And I couldn't have experienced and acknowledged myself in the true experiences that gives me fulfillment because I was rejecting me.
Mhm. Okay. So does that become society's fault? Or is it just to a certain extent because society made you feel like you had to run away from being the
Society
African
didn't make
woman?
me
Or,
feel that.
so what
But
was
it's
it?
the collective mindset that we all have,
Okay.
right? That makes us feel like this is bad. Remember the dual world.
Yeah.
So someone says this is good, and then we all buy into the good, and then try to run away from ourselves, running towards what someone else has said is good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So this is the problem that we have collectively, not just individually. Because there are things that we call good. Remember when in the beginning I said that there are gifts that are wrapped in thorns, but then we just have to find a way of opening the gift. Yeah. So when something is defined as good and one thing is defined as bad, we try to run away from the bad. Everybody likes what is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if our collective mindset is telling us that this is good, then we are definitely going to be drawn to the good. Then we don't look at the consequences of it until we start suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And sometimes in the suffering, we try to keep going in the wrong direction instead of really looking at what is wrong in the roots of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Am I making sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So the definition of true identity then actually requires us to acknowledge ourselves for who we are. Just everything about me.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing about me that I can deny or start to look in the mirror and say that is ugly. There is lots of things I want to do to improve, my health, to improve this, to improve that in the physical and in the natural world that I'm living in. But I cannot go and say that I am bad here because that definition itself means I'm denying who I am,
Mm-hmm.
gravitating towards what I am not. And then in that movement, then I lose who I am. I get confused and I'm in a disharmony. If I'm in disharmony, that means I'm starting to create from a point that is out of harmony.
Chaos.
Yeah. When we start to create from a chaotic point, you know what happens. It's a vicious cycle
Yeah.
of chaos. But then when we start to go back to the reality of our true identities, which is, well, as you said, breath, it is also love. And in that place of that true identity, then I can create from a harmonious point. Then I create things that are beautiful. Yeah. But we cannot call them good, but we can call them beautiful. We are blissful. Our experiences in life bring us joy, no matter how small, how minute, no matter how challenging they are. When I come to a position where I've resolved something, I've helped someone, there is a fulfillment that comes with that. There is no desire for, I want to be acknowledged, I want to be honored, I want to be elevated, you have to make me. But because I am happy with who I am, with my identity as the breath and the love that is above all, it needs nothing.
Mm. But it takes a certain level or a deep level of acceptance to get there. Because once you start peeling back the layers, you start to realize, okay, my name is not my identity, it's just a tag that was given to me when I was born. My occupation is just something I do, it's not necessarily who I am. Because when you go into job interviews or when people ask you, um, how would you define yourself? You start with, oh, this is my name, this is where I'm from, this is what I do for work. And as a collective, as people, we bundle all these things together and claim it as our identity.
That's the expectation, isn't it?
Yeah,
If you don't meet the expectation, then you are not accepted in the society.
yeah, because it's normalized to think that way.
Yeah, yeah.
But then outside of that, it's difficult for people to even think outside of my occupation, my name, what I do for fun. It's
Yeah.
difficult for people to think outside of that because they don't know anything else or any different.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's difficult because there was this point when I was going through my own journey. Is I realized that there was a time when I was in the beingness of my emotions and my mental and my physical,
Mm-hmm.
but I was not aligned with my spiritual in all this.
Mm-hmm.
So I was functioning from a point where one part of me was not working. So when, as you say, when you start to peel off the layers, remember when I said I was trying to find someone that could fix me, but fixing me didn't give me the true identity that I needed. But then when you start the journey of healing yourself, like the onion, you start to peel away all these layers that need to come off. So then you are really able to open that gift that is surrounded by the thorns.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it all comes in when you follow the journey of returning to love. That means you don't return to love outside, you return to love inside of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you really are returning to yourself. You are not I know we associate love with romance, but that's not
That's marketing.
of course that's Valentine Days marketing. But this yeah, the love that we have to be is actually our true identity. It's who we are.
Yeah.
As much as we are breath, because that breath cannot exist. If I didn't love someone else, I wouldn't breathe out. I will hold it in, wouldn't I? And then if I hold it in, then I'm just killing the reality of everyone else. But I've got to be giving. So this is why this breath in and out was created, not to be controlled by anything or anyone.
Mhm.
Because there's no one that can take the rights to breath, right?
You'll be
No,
surprised.
no.
It will come soon.
Yes,
They charge everything for everything else.
I can charge water and everything else, but they can't charge breath. Yeah. So in that way, then we are all love. We function from the same level.
Mhm.
Yeah. Animals. Imagine if breath was charged, what would the animals do?
The same thing they do now, for free.
No.
Whether any animals on this planet actually pay to be alive.
Someone was to patent the breath. Imagine that.
If they could figure it out, they would do it. They'll tax you for breathing.
Probably a big tax already without knowing it. But anyway, we digress. So yeah, that's about the true identity. So we thought today we talk about this bit that I don't know. It might have been easier for some people to understand it. I don't know if you understood what I said,
Yeah,
if it made sense.
I've come across something like that before.
You have,
Yeah.
yeah, right. So this was our topic for today. So if you have any questions, just let us know in the comment section. And
Also, any other topics that you guys want us to discuss, just put them down in the comment section below. Or you can DM one of us on Instagram or Twitter, whichever. Our handles will be in the description box as well. Um, I hope you enjoyed the talk. It was actually a very interesting one. I liked this one. It's definitely gonna have my mind spinning for a while.
don't make it spin. Just align yourself with your true self. All
Thank you guys
right.
for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
All right then. Take care. Talk soon.